Good morning, Warzone kids. It's cold in Vermont this morning, -8 in my car. Wear your warm socks on the trail, wear some gloves. Wear a hat. But get out there and get your miles in for the day. It's a beautiful dawn, skies are clear. I spent the last few videos talking about Zen, one of the pearls in my rucksack. Pearls, one of my favorite images from nature. Pearls famously are formed when grains of sand or something like that gets inside an oyster and irritates it, and the oyster's got to respond, and it starts laying down these thin layers of lacquer, call it that, some thin layers of pearl over that grain of sand, over and over again, one layer at a time, until all that's there is a pearl, a shimmering thing like the moon. And Zen for me is one of the pearls in my life. I don't even keep Zen in my rucksack, I keep it in my pocket, just a little pearl. Another pearl are healing circles. I just finished the fall healing circle with Hidden Water. I'm in a green circle, that's a circle for child sex abuse survivors. They have circles for partners. I think blue circles are for partners of child sex abuse survivors. Orange circles are for family members who were not the ones that caused the harm. And in Hidden Water, they offer purple circles. And those are for people who have sexually abused children and are ready to take responsibility and move on their own path toward healing. And just the same way that an old timer at a 12-step meeting would tell you that the newcomer who's there with 1 day of clean time is the most important person in the meeting, I would say that for this green circle child sex abuse survivor, the person who wants the person who's sexually abused children and is ready to take responsibility for it is the most important person in the circle. And if they said no, you gotta give up your green circle spot because this otherwise this person will not be able to go to a purple circle, I would say they can have the good. Let them have it. I'll go without. Far more important for this guy right now. But they offer these different colors of circles. And I finished my green circle. I'm a volunteer circle keeper. I'm just a volunteer. I don't speak for the organization. Hidden Water Circles. Hidden Water Circle. I'll put a link to it in the description. If you're a child sex abuse survivor, get yourself on the waiting list. And if you're looking for it, if you're looking for a way to connect, I couldn't recommend highly enough, give it a shot. I didn't want to do it first time. When they called up and explained to me how it was going to work, I was full of suspicion and hostility to it. It sounded like a bunch of hogwash to me. But I went anyway because I was desperate. And it's life altering. I mean, I got a video about it. Hidden Waters Run Deep. Life altering, and each one of them is transformational. I just finished up this 12-week circle with 7 other child sex abuse survivors. And I'm a different Ben than I was 12 weeks ago. That'd be true anyway, but it's true in some very marvelous ways now. I was able to spend 12 weeks listening to my fellow child sex abuse survivors' experience, sharing mine with them, seeing myself in them, and trying to be present enough and real enough that hopefully some of them could see some of themselves in me. And I felt a connection with those people. And I wouldn't change a thing about them. They're all beautiful. And I can even say that I can accept that some of them might feel that way about me too. And that really means something to me. And these circles are experiences. That's my point. What makes them a pearl for me is that it's an experience. Like Zen is a practice. I wouldn't say that the circle is a practice, so it's got elements of that. something that you do. Every week I go in, I open up the spreadsheet, I start the Zoom meeting, I put prompts in the chat box, I make myself present, I share my experience, I listen to others, I share to be understood, I listen to understand. In that sense, it's a practice. You sit on your cushion, look at the wall. But it's an experience. It's an experience of those people. It's an experience of myself in relation to those people. I even learned that it's okay to use a phrase like a safe space. That ain't a phrase that naturally comes out of this Oklahoma boy's mouth. Because to say it makes a person feel weak. And I don't like to be weak. I am weak, and I'm strong. I'm a human being. But that's why. These are my responses to it. My responses are empty. My feelings are just my feelings. I'll get over it. Because I've learned what that means. I've learned what that means. There's a space that we make with each other in those 12 weeks where, for once in our lives, and I mean that, for once in our lives, particularly for those, it's their first circle, for once in our lives, we're sitting there with other child sex abuse survivors, with an acknowledgement that we've all had times in our life in which we had no control over the fact that things that were extraordinarily harmful were happening to us. And for most of us, for many of us, like me, who came from war-zone families, you can spend your entire childhood lacking control in crucial ways over what happens to you. Well, we make a space with each other where it's just us there. No one else gets in. It's just us. And we make, I don't say rules. There's a phrase in Zen, we're bound without ropes. No one makes us do this. But we are bound to each other without ropes. We don't have to make a safe space for each other. But we make a space where we agree with each other that we're not going to give each other advice. We're not going to evaluate what each of us says. We are going to do our best to share what is the edge of our healing. And we share to be understood. And we listen to others to understand them. We don't listen for the part where we can give them our smart advice. We don't share so we can show everyone how great we are. We share to be understood. And that's it. That's it. It's as simple as that. When does the healing happen? You talk transformational drivel, Johnson. When does all that happen? That's exactly what I thought when my first circle keeper called me to explain the curriculum. Well, so when's the healing happen? And she laughed and said, well, that's a great question. I feel the same way. Just try it out. It's an experience. Sit on your cushion, look at the wall. Do it every day. Do it twice a day. Come back in a while. Tell me what you think. If you're an addict, go to the meeting. Get your key tag. Get a sponsor. Get the book. Work the steps. Worry later on. You can worry about all your concerns. Sit on a cushion, look at the wall. Go to the circle. I'm a volunteer circle keeper. Go to the circle, fire up the spreadsheet, start the Zoom meeting, type the stuff in the chat box, do all that stuff, and then remind myself that I'm a circle member, and I'm there to share, to be understood, and to listen to understand, and do that every week for 12 weeks. That's it. I don't know how flour, water, yeast, and a little bit of salt make a loaf of French bread either, but they do. When does the dough turn into bread? I refuse to eat this bread because I cannot comprehend how flour, water, and a little bit of yeast turns into bread. I cannot comprehend it. Therefore, I refuse to acknowledge the existence of this baguette. Okay. Leave it there. I'll eat it. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a pearl. It's an experience. And for this guy who has to pry himself out of his head sometimes. See, even that's a log I'm dragging behind me. That ain't who I am right now. That's a story I tell myself about myself, that I live in my head. It's been true for a long time. And I'm a cerebral guy. I like old books. That's my happy place. Give me an old book that I gotta put some effort into. I gotta reckon with. Give me a book written by somebody who I'm gonna have to reckon with, like Dogen, like Plato, like Nietzsche. You have to reckon with it. I had to reckon with myself every week for each of the 12 weeks of this healing circle. So maybe the 5th one I've been in, something like that. I've been doing them for a few years. I have to reckon with myself every week and my roller coaster like responses to what people say and what my responses are. And there I am. They're reckoning with themselves, and I love them for it. And I look at each and every one of them and I say, rock on, you're doing it. There's no reason you should be different than you are. They tell me they share their stories, and I listen to it and I say, yeah. Why wouldn't you be struggling with the things that you're struggling with? Why wouldn't you? How could anyone expect you not to? It's okay. You don't have to be some different person. You don't have to claw your way and live a life based on trying to become the person that in your mind you think you would have been if none of this stuff had ever happened. I am talking to myself. I can see that in others. I can see. It's okay. It's okay. You're struggling with this, of course. You grew up with a psyche that it took for you to survive all that stuff that you just told me about. And you did. I'm grateful that you did. You watching this, if you're a Warzone kid, I'm grateful to the part of you that got you out of whatever it was that you were in and got you here. I'm grateful to that. I'm grateful to those parts of myself. And I know through the experience of going to these circles that I can feel that compassion for those folks. It's bright and clear and pure in my mind. It rings like a bell. They're okay. There's no reason for any of them to add extra suffering to it. There's none. It's okay. And in a phenomenal experience, I could feel that compassion for this guy. It's okay. It's okay. I have the psyche that I had to have to get out of what I had to get out of. It's okay. Why wouldn't I have the struggles that I have? Why wouldn't I? I was harmed very profoundly by my mother. It's the most foundational relationship a human creature can have. That's what love is. Crawling to your mother and being pinched and bitten and stung and having a web wove around me. When I dream of my mother, she's a scorpion spider. swaddling me in silk from her spinnerets. Yeah. Why would I waste my time trying to be a guy who can have good, easy, nice, healthy, normal, Hallmark card-like relations romantically, when, and with any other person, when the foundational relationship in my life was one of crawling back to try to get love and being stung, pinched, bitten, and wrapped up in spider silk. That's where this guy got his psyche, and it's okay. I can feel that compassion for myself. That I can feel for my fellow comrades, for my fellow child sex abuse survivors, for my fellow travelers, for my fellow pilgrims. I can feel that compassion for them as clear and clean and pure as this powdery snow and the dry, cold crispness of the air on this December day in Vermont. I can feel that for myself. I only have that feeling because I listened to probably Elizabeth, I don't remember who, founder of Hidden Water. She was a circle keeper in the first circle I did. I listened to her explain what sounded to me like utter hogwash, but I went to the thing anyway. And I got me a pearl in my pocket because of it. The pearl of connection, the pearl of compassion, the pearl of sharing to be understood and listening to understand. And this 51-year-old man from Oklahoma seeing himself in people with every opposite kind of demographic to me that you could think of. With experiences, some of them, the plot points have nothing in common with mine. The psyche points have everything in common with me. They are such a one as I am, and I am such a one as they are. And all because of that hippie sounding nonsense of a hogwash infested healing circle where I learned how to make a safe space. And I learned what I could get if I set aside, if I really took seriously the idea that all those opinions I just had, those are all empty sankara in my mind. What I want is in the Western lands. What I want is to be home. What I want is to find the land of peace and wholeness and happiness. And that land is in those pearls I have in my pocket. That land is where I'm going. And that land is where I am now. And I'm going to keep on heading there. That's the second pearl in my pocket, Pilgrim. It's a beautiful day. Put your hand in your pocket and see what you got in there. You got stuff in your rucksack, but I bet you've got other stuff in your pocket. Reach in there and see what it is. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love for you to share your experience. If you're a war zone kid, or just if you're trying to live your life and you're watching this video, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment about what your experience is. Head to my YouTube channel at Trail to the Western Land. Subscribe. I got more videos on there. Let me know what you think. Let me hear from you. You're a fellow war zone kid of some kind. Tell me what your path is like. I want to hear about your time on the Trail to the Western Land. Let's have a good day, Pilgrim. Let's get our drive in. We got a lot of miles to go and it's cold outside.